Welcome to another video. We have Joe here.
Hello everyone.
Hello. So what's your name?
My name is Joe.
Okay. How old are you, Joe?
I'm almost 27 years old, coming up very soon. Yeah.
Okay. And where are you from?
I'm from England in the UK. I came here 3 and a bit years ago.
Okay, 3 years ago. A little bit more. So you came just before COVID?
Pretty much, yeah, like a year before COVID, yeah.
Okay. So what do you think of China? How is it going for you so far?
It's going very well. I think that when I first came here, it was a very big shock.
Okay.
Some things that you see, such as people people spitting a lot, that was hard to get used to, and I think some places are a little bit dirtier than I'm used to, but and just some other different cultural things. It was a big cultural shock at first. I think most people experience this when they first come to China. They, at least if they're from Europe, they are a bit shocked at first with how different it is. But
we are in Beijing, by the way.
Yes.
It's important to say because there are so many. China is so big.
Right.
There are so many cities.
That's true.
And it's very different, right?
They're all very different. Yeah, China's a huge country.
Yeah.
So yeah, Beijing, very different to what I expected.
Okay.
But yeah, after some time, just open yourself up to the culture, to the things that are around you. Try to stay positive, and actually, now it's going very well. Yeah, I'm loving
You've adapted.
it. Yeah, fully adapted. Yeah.
Okay. Can you speak Chinese?
Some Chinese, yeah. I'd say,
bit?
yeah, I can speak Chinese. I can have some conversations. I can order in restaurants and stuff like that.
Wow.
So,
Very
yeah,
good.
yeah.
How long did it take you to get to that level?
About two years ish. I started learning Chinese a few months after I came to China. So I arrived in China in November. I went back to England for the Spring Festival in February. Came back in March, and after that I started studying. Maybe not as hard as I should be studying. But I also have a Chinese girlfriend, so that helps. Like, we talk Chinese together. She's helped me to learn when she has time. But yeah, I think if I was a little bit more diligent with my studies, my Chinese would be much better than it is now.
Okay.
But I'm still at a decent level, yeah.
I think you are, yes. I heard you before. It's pretty good. And you can also read a bit of Chinese, right?
Right, yeah, I can.
And write as well.
Yeah, I can read some. I can read a fair amount, and I can write a little bit, yeah. And I can type on the phone as well. Yeah.
Okay. So before you moved to China, did you go anywhere else in the world? Or, yeah, you traveled or...
Yeah, I went traveling, as most people do when they're in university. I traveled around Europe, and I went to France. I've been to France many times. I've been to Spain. I've been to Germany, Belgium, Portugal, and Thailand as well.
Thailand.
Yeah, but just went there
To visit.
to visit. Yeah, I've never lived in another country. So
Okay.
China's the first place I immigrated to.
Yes, very good. So, would you consider yourself as an immigrant or an expat?
I would consider myself as an immigrant, just from.
Very interesting. Very interesting.
That's. I think that's what the word means. Like, expat to me, I may be wrong.
It's temporary.
Yeah, maybe. Well, I'm not entirely sure what the word means, but it seems like people say.
There's a
expat.
debate around it.
Right. People say expat because they don't want to be associated with the word immigrant, because maybe it has a negative connotation. But I would consider myself as an immigrant. I plan to stay here for many years. So.
Right, yes. To me, I think like an expat is like someone who works for a big company,
Mm.
and the company sends you to another country. So your contract, it's not a local contract,
Right.
you know? It's a contract from your home country.
Mm.
They send you in another country, and you'll eventually have to go back, you know?
Yeah.
So, yeah. But immigrants, so that's why I think we are more like immigrants because we are on a local contract,
Right.
you know? So, but in a way, you are freer,
Oh yeah.
you know? You
Yeah.
don't belong to that company back home, you know?
Right. Right.
You're more free.
Like when the contract runs out, we can just find another one here. We don't have to go
Right.
back and rely on our own country to renew the visa or whatever.
Yes, yes. So maybe the benefits are a bit less. I think expats get more money.
Yeah.
You know, I know a lot of expats around here. They live in the fancy places.
Mm.
They have very good contracts, but it's only for like 2 years, right, or something.
Yeah.
And they are always a bit sad because their life here is so comfortable.
Right.
You know.
Maybe they're not fully integrated with the community or fully integrated with the locals, so
Mm-hmm.
maybe they feel a little bit left out as well. I
Mhm.
think that can happen. And if you have it's very possible in China to just have your foreign life in China.
Right. To live in a bubble.
Right. Yeah.
Yes.
And,
I agree.
I think that will end up in you being very unhappy or having some bad feelings towards China.
That's possible, yes. Like sometimes, right? You know,
Mm.
sometimes you can be like, oh yeah, you don't understand, right?
Right.
You don't understand what's going on, the cultural differences. It's true, many people live in an expat bubble
Hmm.
here, but not only here.
Oh yeah.
I think like all around Asia, you know, I watch a lot of videos on YouTube about Thailand, for example,
Mm.
and apparently, you know, for example, with French people,
Mm.
maybe there are a lot of them in one place, and then they will just replicate France.
Right. And the Brits are very good at that. Like if you go to Benidorm in Spain,
Okay, yes,
it's literally just England
yes.
in Spain.
In Spain.
Yeah.
Right. I know Benidorm because I'm from south of France.
Mm.
So I know Spain quite well. You know, it's very near.
Yeah.
So yeah, Benidorm is a very famous touristy destination.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's I guess it happens in every country. Even in our countries, sometimes people will come and not fully integrate with
That's true. That's
culture
true.
and just form their own bubble.
Yes. So I guess that's a human thing to do.
Mm.
Um, but yes, it's good to discover, right? To mix. I don't think we can ever be fully integrated.
Mm.
And that's also why maybe people want to recreate a little bubble.
Right.
Also, the food, man. We love our food,
That's true. That's
you know?
true. It's very different.
That's like,
Yeah, I think even if you come here to eat Western food,
Yeah.
you go to Western food places, it's really not the same as it is back home.
it's not, but you know what? Have you been to Shanghai?
I haven't.
You must go. Because I have like 2 or 3 times, and it's very different
Hmm.
than Beijing.
You're
So different. The people, the streets, they have like plane trees all over. It looks like south of France. They actually imported those trees from south of France.
Really?
Yeah,
Nice.
back in the days. And so you walk around and you're like, oh my God, am I in France? Like seriously. And then you see the little shops, the coffee shops, the bakeries,
Mm.
and I'm like, wow, this is amazing. Like in summer, or when it's warm, I'm like, wow, this is great. Also, they have huge rivers, right? Shanghai. So I really enjoy rivers. Beijing is super dry,
That's true.
you know?
It's really bad for my skin. Yeah,
Yeah.
my skin suffers
Same,
from
same.
the dryness here. Even if I use a humidifier,
Okay.
still doesn't keep my skin moist.
I know, yeah.
Yeah, in the winter, can guarantee that my hands and my elbows and everything are going to be flaky. It's just, yeah, I hate the dryness here.
Mm.
But when it rains, it pours here. Like there's no in between. There's no like little shower. It's just no rain, and then one day just the heavens open.
Yeah.
And
But it doesn't last for very long, right?
that's true. That's
Just,
true. It's not like in England where it's like you get a whole day of rain.
Yeah.
Yeah, that sucks. I hate
And
that.
cold too.
Mm.
Yeah. Well, it's seasonal too, because winter is super dry.
Yeah.
Summer is also dry. So
Yeah.
it's just like maybe autumn
In spring.
and spring.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree.
And summer is really hot here.
Ah, really hot.
Yeah.
Yeah, it can get up to almost 40 some days, and yeah, it's something else. I don't do very well in the heat, so when it's summer, I'm just sweating buckets and yeah,
Staying indoors,
Yeah, but luckily we have AC here. I don't know.
of course.
In France, do you guys have
No.
AC? Yeah, same in England. Because it never gets that hot. Maybe we'll have a week or two where it's quite hot.
Well, it gets hot in France, but I think like, well, some people, I guess it's getting more and more popular, especially maybe for older people.
Right.
Like if you are 80 years old, okay, maybe you should have AC at home, But I know in my home, we just use the, what's the name? Like the,
Like a fan or something?
no, the, like, outside to close the,
The window?
no,
The
after
vent?
the window.
After the wind. Like a vent or something? I'm not sure.
It's like outside the window, you close it and then you cannot see the sun or,
Oh, the blinds?
Yeah, the blinds, yeah.
Ah.
Sorry.
So that makes
So we
it
just
cooler.
close the blinds and maybe leave it just a little bit open so the air will flow in, and it's cool. It's enough, really. It's enough.
Well, I do appreciate the air conditioning. Like everywhere in
Yeah.
China has, in Beijing, sorry, I keep saying China, Beijing, everywhere in Beijing has air conditioning, which, yeah, is much appreciated. In the winter as well, because in the winter it gets really cold, and
Right.
you can use that as a heater, especially because in Beijing we have the heating just comes on and goes off.
The heating is free
Yes,
north of the Yellow River,
right.
thanks to Mao Zedong
Mm-hmm.
and communism. That was his choice. He said north of the Yellow River where it gets cold, right?
Right.
South of that, it's like the line
Then
where it's a little bit warmer.
Mm.
Obviously, if you go to Sanya, it's always hot, right?
Right.
In the south of China,
But
the
only
very, very south.
right. But only comes on like end of November to like
Right.
March or something.
Yeah,
So before it turns on, it's still getting pretty cold.
that's
right?
true. For like, there are 2 weeks. Yeah,
Yeah. So the air
you
conditioning
can use the AC. Yeah,
comes in handy a lot. Here,
true.
Yeah.
True. Okay, so let's talk about. You said when you came here, you were a bit shocked by the cultural differences. Can you expand on that a bit more? Like the society, the people, how do people think? So maybe even at work, compare the work culture. If people want to move to China, what should they be expecting?
Yes. Okay. So, first of all, with the language, I think is a big thing because
Yeah.
anyone who wants to move to China, I would recommend try to learn some Chinese before you get here. Like even if it's just not speaking, but just understanding some words, because you're a foreigner. People you're like a light bulb in a dark room. People will stare at you. People will say things, but it doesn't always mean it's going to be bad things. And if you don't know the language, maybe you'll assume that people are saying bad things about you.
Yeah.
But that's the thing here. There's not many foreigners in the whole of China, so you're going to get stared at. That's just part of the parcel. That takes a while to get used to, because in my hometown, if someone's staring at you, that means like it's time for a fight. But here in China, it's like they're kind of admiring you or just
Curious.
Yeah,
They're just curious.
Right. Because they don't see many white people or black people, so it's I don't know, just like seeing someone from the movies or something.
Yes, that's true. There are not many foreigners in China in general, and in Beijing, there are not many, actually, and they are all concentrated in one area,
Right.
mostly, right? In the east, East Beijing, where all the embassies are,
Yeah.
so that's like the foreigner bubble
Right.
with all the restaurants, the bars. So yeah, that's true. That's true.
Yeah. So that's something that you have to get used to, and you will get used to that after a while. Another cultural difference would be, think about work. Maybe
Yeah.
you're always going to be, how to explain it, like you're always going to be a foreigner. You'll never
You'll never be Chinese.
Yeah, like the Chinese have their way of doing things, and they will allow you to do your way of things. But if there's like a clash, it's always going to be their way or the highway. And maybe sometimes you'll feel like you're not part of this group. Sometimes it depends really what company you're working for, I guess. But
True.
sometimes
True.
they don't cater to foreigners' needs or foreigners. Maybe they don't fully understand how foreigners work and how foreigners think. So there can be. I'm not explaining this very well, but it's just the difference in thinking. Maybe the Chinese can be more practical, whereas foreigners can be more creative and a bit less like pragmatic. So I think the Chinese, they want quick results, and they want to know the solution. They want to know things right now. But with foreigners, we're a bit more patient, and we like to try different ideas and see how these things work. And sometimes that can cause some clashes, I think. And sometimes, again, because of the language, you will feel like you're not part of them.
Okay.
Like you're not. Like if, for example, we work in a school, and the Chinese, they'll have their events or things like that, and it's very hard to feel like we're involved in the whole thing. Maybe they will feel like they don't want to bother you, so they won't ask you to help, or they won't ask you to participate. So I think that's probably something that they could work on. maybe communicating more, instead of kind of assuming that we don't want to be part of their
Okay.
activities.
Well, I think it also very much depends on where you work, what kind of
Right.
company you work for, you know,
Yeah.
what's your position, what type of school, if you work in a school, you know, many people here work in schools. So if it's an international school, if it's a local school, if it's a public school, private school, it all depends. And for maybe the bigger companies, maybe you have more impact.
Mm.
You know, the foreign companies. I'm guessing. You know. Yeah, but more generally, if you were to compare, you know, England and China, because maybe that's more specific, you know, and it depends. There's no general rule, you know. For example, how do you feel when you walk in the street, you know, with your girlfriend or by yourself? What are the differences?
Very different. When I'm walking by myself, uh, I'm not really that aware of my surroundings. A lot of the time, I'll have earphones in,
Yeah,
and I guess people look at me, and as I was saying earlier, it's something I'm used to. But with my girlfriend being Chinese, a lot of people stare at her, and we've had times where people make like inappropriate comments.
really.
Yeah, like for example, we were eating in a restaurant. Well, not like a restaurant, like a canteen,
Okay.
and together. And one of these Waimai drivers was picking up, and he saw us, and he said in Chinese, he said, "Oh, are there not enough men in China?" Or something like that, like something around those lines, and then walked off. Sometimes people will just stare and like point and talk to their friend, like so that is that can be quite annoying. That can be uh, make us feel a little bit uncomfortable. But again, it's something you get used to, and although it shouldn't happen, it's just I don't know. I guess that's a cultural thing. Lots of people don't believe in like the interracial relationships.
Right. Yes. This is a world problem
Yeah.
for sure. You know,
Right.
it's not only here. People judging others,
Mm.
and when you compare China with other parts of the world, it's actually okay.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Some other countries, like it's maybe even illegal to marry a
Exactly.
foreigner.
Right.
You
And
know?
it's more obvious because if you see an interracial couple in
Yes.
say England,
Mhm.
you can see them and assume they're both English.
Right.
You don't know they're from different countries, but
Yeah.
in China it's very obvious that
Right.
I'm not from China.
That's true. That's true.
So maybe the thinking is very similar in England. Like there's probably just as in proportion, just as many people who don't agree with interracial relationships, but the like staring and the pointing and the talking can get to you sometimes. Yeah.
Yeah, I understand. I understand. Okay. Let's move on to maybe five. It doesn't have to be five. Can be less. Can be more.
Uh-huh.
5 things that you really like about China, and you wish could be imported to England, or at least you know, like English people could learn from China.
Mm.
Like, oh, this is really good. I wish it was like this in England.
Okay. First of all,
Can be anything.
right. I'll think. I know my first one is the food.
Okay.
I'm a big fan of Chinese food. I love like all the weird stuff. I love it. Like all the stuff that many people would. Oh, I don't want to eat that. I just love it. I'm a really big fan of Chinese food. I think that's something that the UK could learn from, is making
Proper.
yeah.
You don't have Chinese food in the UK.
Right. We have the like American Chinese food, which is very different. It's very sweet, a little bit sour. But in China, there are so many different
Right.
provinces that have different styles of food.
That's true.
And in England, we don't really have much choice. Like we like to eat lots of sandwiches, and we like to have roast dinner, which is not really very seasoned.
Mm-hmm.
Not much flavour in our food. So
Right.
that's something I'd like the UK to learn from. Is learn to make some more flavourful food.
Okay.
Because that's one of my favourite things about China is the food. Second would be would be, if I'm just thinking about it, something that I like about China is how I wouldn't say really cheap, but things are much cheaper here than the UK, and therefore it gives you a better standard of life.
Yeah. Of course.
Even if you have a relatively low salary, you can still afford to just about afford to pay rent and have some money to set aside. In the UK, there's a lot of tax. There's a lot of like VAT as well, the
Right.
value-added
Right.
tax, which
Yeah. Of course.
puts the price of everything up. And
Yes.
so living in the UK, I was on a pretty low salary, but also like losing so much of my salary and through tax, and rent is very high, no matter where you go really, and just the cost of buying things, food, going out, so expensive. So you end up just like going into debt or living a life of stress, because you're always wondering, will I have enough money to pay my rent this month?
Okay.
So yeah, that's something I guess the UK will never learn, but I wish they could, that because the UK is notoriously quite expensive.
Yes.
And I enjoy.
But maybe salaries are higher, so you have to take everything into account. If salaries are higher, of course, things are going to be more expensive.
Right.
It gives you an advantage in the globalized world, So, but I know what you mean. It's especially for us, we can live. If we had the same salary back home, we wouldn't live as comfortable, right? That's for sure.
That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah. Another thing would be the sense of family.
Okay.
In China, they're very for like the nuclear family. At least now they are. Maybe before they were not so much, but they believe very much in like getting married, having children. Like when the mum gives birth, then the grandparents will come and take care of the mum. The mum will get to rest. You okay? The mum will be able to rest for like they're not supposed to go out for a month or something like that. They don't need to worry about taking care of the baby. They don't need to worry about coming back to work and this time. And I think that's really good, especially for for the development of a country and the development of children.
I agree.
Yeah, there's a very strong sense of.
It used to be like this in Europe, just
Right.
2 generations ago.
Yeah.
So I hope it can stay like this in China. Southeast Asia is also like this.
Yes.
I don't know about Japan and Korea, maybe, but it's good for sure. And you can also save so much money, okay? And maybe that's why, you know, in Europe, in America, because we are living in ultra capitalistic societies, so of course, splitting families is better for the
Right.
system, because it will require more money,
Yeah.
you know. But here, it's true. They mutualize the money. The grandparents are happy to help.
Hmm.
So, for example, you have one home instead of two.
Yeah.
You don't have to pay for a nurse, for a helper.
Mm.
The grandparents can take the children to school. I see that
Yeah,
every day
yeah.
here.
That's true.
So,
Yeah, they
big
take
difference.
a lot of pressure off the parents,
True.
which is good because I feel in Europe or in the UK, whatever, in USA, so much pressure is put on the parents when they have this baby. They have to lose all their sleep taking care of this baby and spend so much money on various things, and they can't really bring the child up very well. If you have the grandparents helping out, I mean, they've already had experience raising children.
Right.
A lot of the time, they learn from their mistakes they made with their last son or daughter, and they can bring this child up very well. And like you said, taking them to school, these are small things, but they take a lot of pressure and a lot of time off the hands of the parents, and
True.
they have more time to give that care to their children.
They can also do the cooking. They do so much.
Yeah.
They do so much. Yeah, I've seen that a lot.
Mm.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, this I think is a really good thing that China has, and like you said, I hope they can continue to do this.
Yeah, to
Yeah.
keep that. Yes. Okay. And obviously, people know a little bit, at least, about the history of China, the history of England, Europe. What do you think China will be like in 10 or 20 years? And maybe if you want to talk about England as well, Looking back at the history, looking at today, what do you think about China in 10, 20 years?
I've been thinking about this recently because I feel like right now we're in a very good place. The economy is really good, and like I said, things are relatively cheap, and our salaries are pretty good. I'm a very pessimistic person naturally, so I've been thinking, what if China ends up like all the other Western countries, where
Yes.
the economy eventually stalls and
Yeah.
salaries stall
Yeah.
and inflation increases until we cannot have this standard of living anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So I've been thinking about that recently. That's possibly could happen. But yeah, that's probably what I think would happen. But I hope things will just continue to get better.
Well, I understand. It's an educated guess
Yeah.
based on what happened in Europe. And actually, in my previous interview that people can check out with Malcolm, that's what he said. When I asked him what are things that China can learn from us, from the West, and he said not to repeat the same mistakes.
Yes.
You see?
That's right. Yeah.
So
And
I think that was a great point,
yeah, I agree. The China likes to take some things from the West, like some ideas and whatnot, and I hope they do not take the bad ideas which led to like the the kind of collapse of the Western economy. Whatever China's doing now, they're doing it well, and I hope that they can continue on this track. Yeah.
Okay. Well, do you want to add anything else? Something that we didn't talk about?
I just, again, for people who want to move to China,
Okay.
or move to Beijing or whatever, I would again say, please, like, if you come here and you're shocked, don't give up, because this happened to one of my friends. He came here and he didn't really give it a good enough chance.
Yes.
And then COVID happened, and he left, so he kind of left with a sour taste in his mouth.
Right.
I'd say learn some history about China, so you have a full understanding of the culture.
Mm-hmm.
Because a lot of
Do your research.
Right, a lot of Chinese thinking and Chinese culture comes from their history. It's a very long history. It's a very painful history as well. So yeah, and try to integrate. Like, no matter where you go, always try to integrate with the locals, and actually you'll find Chinese people, the majority of them are really friendly. If you show that you are respectful and open to their culture,
friendly.
Yeah,
it's important to use what you got, which is, for example, smiling.
Right.
You know, if you cannot speak, at least you can smile.
Right. And even if you can't speak, but even if you do learn like a few Chinese words, they're always really happy.
That's true.
To know that you're, at least trying. So
that's true, and I think they are much more tolerant than at least the French in that regard. Because if you go to France, don't speak French, nobody will even like you. They will like, oh my God, why don't you speak French? Don't the whole world speak French?
Right.
But in China, they see you look like a foreigner. Okay, this guy doesn't speak Chinese,
And some of them, they'll even try speaking English with you as well. Like,
True. If they can,
yeah,
they will.
The guard at my community is always saying hello. So that's all he can say. But
that's good.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah, I think that's about it. Just China has a lot of. There's a lot of misconceptions out there about China.
Of course.
I think that the news that we get in the West is somewhat biased, because China is a very up and coming, or not even up and coming anymore. Is a giant country now. So the USA doesn't want China to overtake.
Of course.
Which is understandable.
Mm-hmm.
And China does it as well. We have some news in China that is very biased against the US,
yes.
So it's very important to take a balanced view on these things. When you are reading a news story, think about like the vested interest that these countries have about saying something about the other country, and just try and stay balanced and don't hate each other about these things.
That's very important.
So that's what
always
they want.
Keep cool, always keep distant, watch alternative media like this one,
Right.
That's why I created this channel. I want to interview different people, about their experience in China. And in my experience, China is really a great country. The people here, even if we talk about the police, I don't know in England, but the police in France, they're haters.
Rude, yeah.
They're super rude. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
If I see police in France, I'm careful. I'm careful, man. I know I cannot do whatever. Here, I know nothing's gonna happen.
Oh yeah.
I know it.
They don't.
Nothing's gonna happen.
They don't try to harass you all the
Yeah.
time. Yeah. It's.
And so in France, of course, I was talking about like physical stuff, you know, but it doesn't even have to be physical. For example, I'm always paying fines in France when I'm driving. Like there's always something, or you know, the parking spaces. You're always paying. You know.
Right.
So it's harassing, you know.
Oh yeah.
Here, I feel much better, you know, everything is more calm, more chill.
Yeah.
Well, it's annoying, it's true, like, because there are so many people in Beijing, so it can get crowded. I don't like that. But it's not, I mean, you know, it's just a crowd of people. It's what you would expect,
Yeah.
you know, when you go to a concert or something, right? It's the same thing. But in France it's a different kind of pressure and it's unnecessary.
Yeah.
You know, in China you don't have that. You don't have that pressure from the government, from the police. You know, in the West, people, you know, the media always say, "Oh, the government, blah blah blah, China."
Yeah.
I feel it's the opposite.
Oh yeah. It's like, and I think your channel is great for this, showing the good side of China, because like in the West we mostly get the bad side, and like you said about the government, I mean sure, every government has its problems, has like a lot of the things that China is being accused of, you know, the US government has done this before, or is also doing this,
and to a bigger extent.
right. And it's just, it's not something to hate China about. You know, China is a huge country now.
Yeah.
They want to be a global superpower if they're not already.
Yeah.
And like I said, these are things that the US has done, and the US is a global superpower.
Yeah.
People seem to be okay with the US doing it, so, you know.
That's very interesting because, you know, I was thinking like how China could offer an alternative to the world.
Right.
And there are not many countries who are able to offer a global vision, you know, to the world. And China is one of them. We had, okay, so for example, if you look at France and England, now we are too small compared to America or China. You know, we are still big, but compared to them, we are so small, right?
Oh yeah.
Although we have our advantages still, you know, for example, half of Africa speaks French, you know, I'm thinking about France. But look, this is another debate. I also think that France is really stupid with its relationship with Africa, but that's another topic. But if you look at China, like, they have a totally different vision of the world, and although they want to partner with everybody in the world, you know, like the Silk Road and all that, so that's the proof, you know. But I don't think it's like America did, you know, and I think it's an alternative worth looking into. And of course, China learned from America.
Right.
They also learned the bad things,
Yeah.
you know. So I hope they can be themselves more. You know, although I understand you have the U.S. here, it's difficult to not give in, or, you know, like, for some things.
Right.
You know.
Right. Yeah. 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 So I think that I've said already. Just always keep a balanced view on things.
Yeah.
China really isn't as bad as it seems in the news. If it was really that bad, if we were living in like an evil dictatorship, like I wouldn't I wouldn't stay here. So
True, and that's also why I'm doing this channel. I want to show people, okay, guys, look, we are doing this video. We are free to do it. Nobody's gonna say anything. So that's also one, and I'm also trying to be balanced when I talk about China. I'm not only gonna say the good things.
of course,
I'm trying to be balanced as well.
yeah,
Because I notice the YouTube channels about China are either super pro China or super against China.
right,
I don't want to be either. I just want to be in the middle as it should be. That's what I think.
Yeah. yeah. I mean,
So it's more balanced, right?
yeah. Like I said, every country has its problems. China, of course, is one of those. That it's not all amazing, but overall, I think life here is better than back home. So.
If you take into account the fact that they have so many people, that it's so big, of course you're gonna have some problems.
Right. And you have to run things a bit differently when you've got a population of over 1 billion, almost 2 billion. There are some things that you need to do differently as opposed to the UK where it's like 60, 70 million.
Yeah. Definitely. And that's a very important point.
Yeah.
The numbers, everything is bigger here. And of course, you have the problems with energy, pollution. It will cause pollution. Those problems, they use coal a lot here.
Yeah.
They are trying to change to nuclear energy, but our countries didn't really want to share the technology. And then it creates problems like pollution.
Right.
So I hope, of course, I understand why we don't really want to share the technologies, because then maybe we can lose that advantage. But, you have to, I think there's so much more than that we could be doing.
Yeah.
And that could be beneficial for everybody.
Right.
I also think the Chinese, they will remember if you help them or not.
Oh yeah.
I think they know how to be grateful.
And that can be a downfall of a con of China, is that they are hard to forgive and forget.
Right.
So
That's
sometimes
true. That's true.
they think about like some bad things that happened in their history, and they'll kind of hold that against countries. Whereas I think maybe in the West we're much more forgiving. Like people love Germany now, but what happened less than 100 years ago was pretty bad, But we know that they're not all like that.
No, so. But I know what you mean, like, because it's true. We had like the governments, the German government, French government, English government came together. We created the EU for that purpose. We increased exchanges, cooperations. For example, Airbus.
Right.
Airbus is the symbol, of this cooperation, and Airbus might be better than Boeing, today.
Yeah.
They revolutionized the industry, so I think that's good. But it's true that the Chinese didn't really move on with what happened with Japan. When Japan conquered China. So they didn't really move on from that. As opposed to France, that's true. Now French people don't care about Germany.
Yeah.
And that's true. That's true. Yeah.
Yeah. Like there'll always be the rivalry there, I guess, but like deep down in your heart, but on the
Right.
surface, you know, you realize, okay, we've got to work together and just together for a brighter future, as the Winter Olympics slogan says.
Yeah, it's so funny. What do you think about the Olympics? We cannot, unfortunately, we cannot attend because they made a bubble like in Japan.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, it was inevitable. Yeah, it's annoying, but to be honest, I don't really care about the Winter Olympics. I'm more of a fan of the Summer Olympics. You can watch it on the TV. It's all right. I guess it would be a shame to those who do care about the Winter Olympics.
Hmm.
But yeah, it was always going to happen. And I think maybe the next Summer Olympics, wherever it is, I've forgotten, will probably still be like that, I think. Going based on how things are now, you know, every time there's a few cases,
Right.
things shut down.
China is very strict. Borders have been closed,
Yeah.
are still closed. They've been closed for 2 years now, like since the beginning, you know, of the pandemic. So, but that's how they've been able to protect the people, right?
Yeah, and
You know?
they've kept cases down. Although it's not ideal for like to be always like locked down if your like neighbor has COVID or something like that. That's very annoying. And they, yeah, like you said, they're very strict. Maybe could be too strict, but yeah, they've kept the cases down. I hope that we can open up the borders because I haven't been back to England in 3 years.
Same for me. Yeah.
Yeah.
But you know, look, if every country were to shut their borders for just 1 month, COVID would be over the next month,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, it's got to be like a global effort. But there's this virus. I thought it would bring everyone together, but it just kind of did the opposite, right? Like many countries have their different ideas on how to deal with this
Right.
thing, and
Yeah.
blaming each other for you brought this virus here and you brought it there.
Yeah.
So
That's
yeah.
true. All right. Well, I think we can finish here.
Great.
Okay. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome.
And
Good talk.
yeah, that was great. That was great. Thank you, everyone.
Cheers.
See you next time.
Goodbye.
Bye bye.